Welcome to Significant Recruiting with Matt Rogers, the bonus segment where we focus on helping families and student athletes navigate the college recruiting journey the right way. Today's guest is Coach Brett Parker, head men's soccer coach at St. Leo University. Coach Parker brings over 15 years of experience building programs at the college level, and in this episode, he shares what he looks for in recruits, how the recruiting landscape has changed, and what families should focus on if they want to stand out. Before we dive in, I'm excited to announce that my new book, The Softball Recruits Journal, along with the game day version, which I think a lot of families are going to love, is now live on Amazon. If you have a child who wants to play college softball, this journal walks them through every step, setting goals, organizing communication with coaches, preparing for college visits, and making confident decisions. It even includes templates for emailing and calling coaches the right way. Journals for volleyball, baseball, soccer, and basketball are coming later this summer, so stay tuned. Now, let's jump into my conversation on college recruiting with Coach Brett Parker. Coach Parker, so great to have you. We just had a fantastic conversation about coaching and your great history that you've had as a coach, and you've just got a fantastic mindset as a coach and how adaptable you are and how much you love your kids. And I can't call them kids. They're got 23 and 24 years, but how much you love your guys and your staff and the really great relationship you have in your community. So it's been a lot of fun. I want to dive into recruiting with you.
Yep.
And we started doing these segments because we have so many parents and student athletes that are listening to this and high school coaches that are listening to this. So I want to give them as much truth about recruiting as possible. And we talked about, before we even started our conversation today, how much changes every day with recruiting and how much the world of college athletics is changing every day. So I know some of this in 6 months could be different answers, but we'll go with what we know today.
Yeah.
All right. When you watch film or you go to a showcase or you're going to a high school match, is there something that just instantly makes a player jump out at you? Is there a standout quality that you connect with?
You're looking for right? Looking for different things all the time. And you need variety and diversity within your team, no matter what sport it is or what position or whatever it is. I think they're probably maybe the word aura it could be used. There is something about a player that has that just has a presence that has, whether it's leadership or physical presence, or in soccer a technical presence. But that's a difficult one for me because there's no exact formula. We need this and this type of player, and no player is the same, right? So you can't go, hey, we lost Johnny, we need to go find another Johnny. You're probably never going to find that player. So it's just looking, I think, with anything. And I always tell recruits or ones that are starting the process is try to be special at something, right? Have something about you as a player that is special. And that could be a physical characteristic, that could be a technical characteristic, that could be a psychological or leadership characteristic. But if you have something you do that's special, that's going to stand out, right? And somebody's going to see value in that, and somebody's going to find a role for that. Because if you're just pretty good at everything, there's 10,000 other possible recruits that are going to be okay at everything. And it's that special quality of something that can really set you apart.
I'll piggyback that with this. I'm a freshman in your program. I just got there. We were 3 weeks into practice. We're about to play our first game. What do I got to do to get on the field with all these older guys, these experienced guys? Maybe I'm not the best player yet. Maybe I'm not the guy you're going to count on to score your goals, but what do I got to do to get on the field?
Yeah, I typically tell those first year freshmen that being consistent is the first thing, right? Is consistency day in and day out. And if you can start to show that consistency, you're going to get opportunities. And you could say, I'll take a player that's 7 out of 10 every single time over somebody that's 9 out of 10 sometimes and 4 out of 10 the other time. I think I've had countless conversations over my time. Is the first step is I need to trust you as a player, that I at least know what I'm going to get, right? I know what I'm going to get in a pressure situation, in a moment that matters to the team. So developing that consistency and that trust and relationship, that in those moments, that's what you're gonna do. And it starts Typically, at least in soccer, it's going to start in practice in our shortened preseason practices. And then if you can show that, you're going to get some opportunities in some preseason games. And then hopefully you can show that you're ready for it at that point. Soccer is all fall sports. I know there's a few others where we have such a short window for freshmen to be ready to compete.
Yep.
You got a couple weeks to do it, and it's not fair, it's not right, and it is high stress in every aspect, and some aren't ready for it, and it's okay. I tell them all the time, it's okay if you're not ready for that. And I know my experience is I can never project who's going to be ready. You could give me five incoming freshmen, and I could pick two that are going to be ready, and the three that I didn't pick are probably going to be the ones that are ready, so you never
Right.
know.
That's where I was going to take you backwards. If you and I were sitting at a field, we're watching a really high level travel club game and ECNL, whatever it may be, can you see that consistency on the field? Is it spacing? Is it pace? Is it how quickly they get the ball off their foot? Is there some things that you're just like, I want to see more of that?
You're never going to know if they're ready for a college soccer game. And if you were to watch a high level youth soccer game, club soccer game, and then the next night you were going to go watch a high level college soccer game at any level, NAI, D3, junior college, D2, D1, you're going to see a different sport almost. It's going to be so much different. So it is to me anyway. Hopefully there's some coaches out there that have figured it out, but there's no way to know truly when they go into that environment that they're going to be ready in all aspects. There, you can tell if somebody's going to be physically ready. You can tell if somebody's going to be technically ready. You can tell if they're going to be probably if they're going to be psychologically ready. But all of those combined to know if when they're put in that moment, if they're going to be ready to go, it's to me, it's the hardest part of the recruiting process.
I agree. Where does, because of your sport, where does conditioning and physicality come into play when you're watching a kid? Does that jump out at you?
It has to. It has to. Soccer has always been a sport you have to be a highly conditioned athlete to
Right.
play in, and then the modern game even more the ability to cover ground, to recover, to do it at a high level, at a high speed it's everything in a lot of ways. So you have to have a certain amount. Now, not every player on our team and how we play is has to be that elite, conditioned athlete that can run 8 miles, 9 miles in a 90-minute game and do it at a high intensity. But it's important. It's important. It's one of the components you need to be good at. Now, soccer, getting into college, have to have an elite level of fitness and physicality. You have to have an elite level of technical ability. You have to have an elite level of psychological. The psychological side has to be at a high level. So every pillar of the game has to be. That's what's going to get you into college, and two, going to make you successful in college.
I've had a couple of conversations with some Hall of Fame college baseball coaches and basketball coaches over the last couple of weeks, and it jumped out at me how they both talked about strength training and how
Sure.
important strength training was to being able to play at that scholarship level you're at. Is it the same for soccer?
Probably not. I'm definitely not the same. And I think it's becoming more of a regular part of youth soccer players, both domestically and worldwide, where you are in a strength conditioning program, whether your club provides it or you do it on your own. Certainly, like our freshman student athletes are that first semester in the weight room with the strength conditioning staff are going to be treated differently. They're going to be make sure that they're doing the right things. They almost have to be coached and taught how to do it in a lot of ways. So it's certainly compared to every other sport, certainly basketball, certainly football, certainly probably baseball. It's not as important for the strength training side, but it can help. It certainly helps, and it can be something that has you more prepared for as a freshman. We talk about
Yeah.
the freshman not being prepared and struggling to make an impact early on. That's something that can make you more prepared as when you're going to play against a 24-year-old, whether they've been in a strength training program growing up or not. They're 24 years old and they've developed physically different than the 18-year-old has. It's certainly something I would recommend. Absolutely.
Can I play Division II soccer as an 18-year-old? Let's say I run a sub 5 mile and I'm in great shape. and I've got two great feet. I got a boot and I can boot it from either side. Can I be an impact player if I've never seen the weight room? If I haven't, can I be 18
Yes,
and be an impact at D2 without that, without
absolutely.
knowing how to squat and bench? And yes,
You can, yeah,
okay.
absolutely. You see it all the time. Yeah, it's not uncommon. It really is not uncommon for some of our freshmen to, even ones that can contribute, to have not ever really truly been in a sustained strength program growing up. Absolutely, yeah, it can happen.
I want to lead kids a little bit too. You've coached the national player of the year. You've had the guy that was the best player in all of Division II soccer on your roster, and you developed him. What did that 4 years for that kid look like from the time you brought him in to being the best player in the country? What does that work ethic look like? What does that mindset look like?
So I only had him for 2 years,
Okay.
unfortunately, and only one where he was eligible to play. He has a long story, but he played at a very high level growing up. He played for a professional academy in Texas with FC Dallas and was close to being in their first team. But when when we took him in, I guess it would have been in 2018. He had to sit out a year as he was transitioning from a different school and coming in. But even in that year where he's not playing and competing, every day is his competition, right? He's coming in every day with a mindset of competing and beating guys out and playing at a high level. Yeah, I think the training habits of a player like that, you can certainly see it, and that's, don't care how good you are, you can't just flip a switch on game day and be the best player. He did it day in and day out in practice, and there was a competitiveness and a level of really battling and wanting to be the best player in everything he did that you don't see with every single player. And then physically, yeah, he was not. By the time he came to us, he was 20 years old and was physically developed and was, but he had special physical qualities that certainly were not. He didn't just wake up one morning and have. It was a combination of speed, technical ability, strength. He had everything.
Yeah, it really comes down to that kid. If you want to be great, you have to come in and compete every day.
Yep.
I just saw some Instagram posts where Craig Hodges said that in 4 years playing with Michael Jordan, never lost a wind sprint.
Yep.
That mentality is so tough to get to, so tough to buy into, so tough to make it a part of who you are.
Yep.
But I think there's a part of that we have to talk about from a recruiting standpoint, because I'm assuming, you tell me if I'm wrong, you probably want to see every kid you sign at least once or twice live, and then you're watching a ton of film.
Absolutely. Yeah. As many times live as possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, you're gonna see him multiple times.
You watch a lot of film and you can make a highlight film. You can make a 3 minute highlight film look really good. You can make your effort look really good and really consistent. And then you
Absolutely.
watch a 90-minute match, and can things change really quickly for you when you see it live?
No doubt. I think that's film, to me, is only going to pulling your interest in. So to me anyway, rarely will we sign for scholarships and really pursue a player that we don't see live multiple times. Yeah, and that really is everything to that 90 minutes. You can see good habits, bad habits. You can see how much it really means to them. And that is you talk about the competitiveness and wanting to win and everything you do. You don't see enough of that on the recruiting trail, whether it's a showcase and that can be the motivation maybe for the player might not be there. From a competitive standpoint, it might be, I'm going to go show and do everything I can. But to be honest, a player out there that's giving everything for his team to win is going to stand out much more than a player who walks around for 75 minutes and then scores the game winning goal. We'll take the
Right.
guy who's competing and really putting everything into it and showing that it really matters to him.
It goes a long way in your brain. At least for me, it always was. I'm not going to have to coach him that. I'm not going to have to
Yep.
coach the heart. The heart's already there, right?
Yeah, I want to coach motivated players, not motivate players is certainly, yeah, that's paramount. I think probably my least enjoyable thing about coaching is having to motivate. I want to coach and teach and inspire. I don't want to motivate you to work hard in practice today. I want to make you the best player I can.
I love that. And it all starts with them wanting to be the best and wanting to
Yep.
put the effort into it. So I love that. Coach, what advice would you give a kid considering multiple levels, D2, D1, NAI, D3. What advice do you give that kid and their family about? I don't know if there's a better way to say it, fit over fame or fit over level.
Yeah. Well, never in my coaching career has it been more important to find fit. And I've coached at I've never coached at Division 1, but I've coached D or NAI, D2. I've never coached D3, but I've been around them so much. And I've been around the Division 1 game a lot. And especially in soccer, and I know every sport is the same. There is high level play at every single level, right? And it is now with the transfer portal and the older players and every sport you see it. I used to think it was unique just to soccer, but there's 24, 25, 26 year olds at every sport now. That's a big challenge to overcome for an 18-year-old. And now there's roster caps and limitations at Division 1 where it's become even harder. So there's nothing about the recruiting process for prospective student athletes, 18-year-olds, that is getting easier. Getting to the highest level is getting harder and harder and harder. But it's also giving you the new climate is giving you opportunities that you don't have to be there day one, right? You can find the right fit for you in the present. And then if the universe calls for you to get to that level at some point, then you have other pathways to get there. But fits everything, and making sure you find a place where it's always a balance between what's going to push you and develop you and get you to be the best player and person and athlete and student that you can be, and also giving you the reward that you want. You want to be valued and you want to have a good experience. Most people want to play and get on the field. So finding that is the most important thing, right? Is finding that. And you can never go back in time. If you were able to, and you made the wrong decision and went to a school where it was probably unrealistic you were going to play just because it was this name or that name or this level or that level, and you could, do the other, or you went somewhere where you were valued and they really wanted you and wanted you to be a part of it and you made an impact, you're going to choose the impact and value route 10 times out of 10. And I think more people like you and I
You
have
and
been
I
around it.
would, but I'm not sure
Yeah.
every kid would.
No, they wouldn't. And that's sometimes they have to learn and grow from mistakes and make those mistakes. And yeah, we can probably countless times everybody who's been a coach in college, at a Power 4 Division 1, has probably had those thoughts in their head where, oh, they're making the wrong decision. But everybody's path's different, and you have to make those decisions sometime of yourself.
I'm curious, coach, is if I'm an 18-year-old and you're meeting with me and my parents, and I tell you, you either ask the question or it just comes up, he's okay being the 24th man on your roster and getting a scholarship. He's okay with that. Is that a red flag?
Being okay with it, I don't think is a red flag. I think being content with it maybe is a red flag. Maybe they really everything else about the school and the program is it's their dream place and they want to fight and battle for it. It can be okay initially. You don't want that person to come in as the 24th player and that's where they want to be and stay, and they only want to work hard enough to be the 24th player. You wouldn't want that one, but the one that understands where they're at, knows they have to fight and to develop and grow and compete. And if they want anything more than that, then I think that's okay. And that there has to be, every program has to have a bottom of the roster player, right?
Yeah.
Every program does. So as somebody has to be in that role and has to be a developmental player that hopefully beyond that gets to where they need to be. But I don't see it as much as a red flag as long as they know this is your experience. You're going to have to work very hard to get beyond that. And you're going to have to do a lot of that. Has going to have to be self motivated. You're not going to have every rep in practice, every opportunity to do it. You're not going to be able to develop on the field like you might in a different situation. Yeah, it's not for everybody. It's definitely, I guess, not a red flag in every case.
Last question. I'm going to make you put your dad hat on. You've got an 11-year-old
Okay.
son, right?
12. Yep.
12-year-old son. Okay. We got boys that are same age.
Yeah.
So he's 18. He's got multiple offers on the table to play college soccer. He can go be a guy that's got a lot of work to do at St. Leo to ever see the field, but they like him and they want to bring him on the roster. or he could go to a D3 or an NAI and they love him. They think he's going to be a primary player right away and a starter. What advice do you give in that situation to your own son?
It's, everything else is equal.
Yeah,
So
let's say the
yeah,
financial
everything.
aid package is within a couple
Sure.
$1,000. They both have the major, both really good coaches.
Yeah. I'm telling him to go to the other one. I'm telling him to go to the one where he can contribute right away, without a doubt.
Why is
Um,
that such a big value? Because I'd give the same advice.
yep. Yeah, I think now again, there's something to be said about the other way of going and earning it
Yeah,
and really, and we hear it all the time of I can do it, I can get there, and a lot of times, more often than not, it doesn't happen. But it's not for a lack of effort. But I just think the experience is a little bit better. You're going to have a little more connection. You're going to feel 4 years down the road, and as an alumni, you're going to feel, in my opinion, you're going to feel a stronger connection to that program where you really impacted it. You really impacted it on the field. You're probably going to become a leader. You're gonna learn a lot, that more than just on the field stuff. Yeah, I would push them the other way without a doubt. And I wouldn't care about telling our friends or family or whatever. Would not make any difference to me,
yeah,
because I think ultimately it's the experience. And when I was a player, again, Montana was a is and was a recruiting exile in soccer. You're on an island, you have to do everything yourself. Nobody goes there. It's difficult. But in a roundabout way, late in the process, I went to a junior college in California. I found the best junior college, defending the best team that looked like where I wanted to be, and I went and we won a national championship. We were very good. I wasn't a starter. I played some, but I wasn't the man. I wasn't the best player. I was a small fish in a big pond, and I loved that. It was, I was a teammate that could do that, and I loved that experience. And then I transferred to a school in Kansas, an NAI school, where I became the big fish again, and I was an All American, and we won a championship. And I'll take that route. That experience and that side would win out 10 times out of 10 for me.
I love it. I'm going to ask you one more because you just brought up something I
Yep.
think is really valuable. Okay, you're that kid in there's a kid in Montana, and he wants to
Yep.
play at St. Leo. What does he do? How do you want that kid? He's the captain of his team. He's a 4-year starter at the high school level. He's all conference, all state, but he wants to come to Florida. He wants to go to St. Leo. How does he reach out to you? How does he let himself know that or let you know he's interested?
Yeah, he has to, obviously, persistence, getting in contact and emailing and using every connection and every way you can get into that coach's ear is first and foremost. A player like that, where it's unique and it's not somebody in our backyard or somebody that in our traditional recruiting pipeline or area, they got to find a way to get in front of us in person. If they think that it's truly where they want to be in their dream spot and realistic, right? You've had enough advice and enough direction that somebody has told you, yeah, this is a realistic place you should be pursuing. I think once sending film, and once, in my case personally, if it was that player, I would want to make sure watching them on video that it was realistic, right? That it was, I see something that sparks the interest that I need to see you play live with Division 2 budgets and Division 2 staffs, and those things is probably going to put the onus on them to come down here, whether maybe we're lucky in Florida that a lot of people, a lot of club teams and a lot of people travel here in the
Yeah.
winter months to play. So maybe we can see him that way. And if not, I have to see him at a camp. I have to get him to our camp to see campus and to do it. But I would want that to be a special case where you know, hey, you're good enough. We want to see you here, and just to confirm and then move forward. But that's a good question. Really good question.
Are you and your staff comfortable with that kid calling you and saying, "Hey, I'd love to come to your camp. It's going to cost my parents and I about $1,000 to do it. We don't have a lot of money. Would you give me a 2-minute evaluation based on my film? Just is it realistic?"
Thousand, 1000%. Yeah,
Okay.
that is camps. We use camps tremendously for recruiting, but we also don't want it to be, it's not meant just to bring everybody in every situation to come to camp. The majority, it's a drive, it's an easy situation, you come there. For those ones, yeah, we'll 100% do as much like either tell them, hey, it's probably not worth your while,
Yeah.
or yes, please come. A lot of times in those cases, we wouldn't even mention camp until we did think it was a realistic possibility. We would do everything we could through other avenues to see them play. But yeah, I think those can happen, and those are But yeah, we're going to make sure it's a realistic one. Absolutely. Of
Coach, so thank you so much for all this time you've given me today. Your advice is
course.
fantastic. I love your energy. I love your passion for this. And your guys are lucky to have you, and St. Leo's lucky to have you. So we'll be cheering for you guys. And thanks again for
All right.
everything.
Appreciate it, Matt. Thanks for having me.
That wraps up our recruiting conversation with Coach Brett Parker. Whether you're just starting out or navigating the final stages of the recruiting process, I hope today's episode gave you real insight into what college coaches value and how to approach recruiting the right way. I love Coach Parker's approach to teaching, mentoring, and building strong long-term programs. And don't forget, the Softball Recruits Journal and the Game Day version are now available on Amazon. These tools walk your student athletes step by step through the entire recruiting journey with space to set goals, track communication, prepare for visits, and make confident decisions. Journals for volleyball, baseball, soccer, and basketball are coming this summer. For free recruiting tips, tools, and resources, or to schedule a free coaching or recruiting session with me, head over to CoachMattRogers.com. Thanks for listening to Significant Recruiting. Keep leading with purpose, and I'll see you next time.